Okay, in this video we're going to be finding the formula for the inverse of a given function. And so I have two examples here. The first one is f of x is equal to the fifth root of x minus 2 plus 8. And so I've written down the steps. You need to recall how to find an inverse. It's a really simple four-step process. Number one says rewrite f of x as y. So in number one, instead of writing f of x is equal to this function, I'm going to simply say y is equal to the fifth root of x minus 2 plus 8. And the second step says to interchange x and y. So wherever there's an x, replace it with y and vice versa. So I'll say this is x is equal to the fifth root of y minus 2 plus 8. And then step number 3 says to solve for y. Okay, our y is underneath this radical, so we can't get to it. We need to isolate it first. So to isolate it means isolate the term that it's with, the radical. So we have to subtract 8 from both sides. So then we get x minus 8 is equal to the fifth root of y minus 2. And now we're still trying to get to the y. So at this point what I'm allowed to do is cancel out the radical, and I do that by raising this to the fifth power, both sides of the equation to the fifth power. The fifth root of something raised to the fifth power, those cancel out, and so what's going to fall out on the right hand side is y minus 2. On the left hand side I have x minus 8 to the fifth. Do not try to multiply that out, just leave it looking like that. Now we're still solving for y, so we want to add 2 to both sides, so this becomes x minus 8 to the fifth power plus 2 equals to y. That was step 3, solving for y. Step 4 is to replace y with f inverse of x. F inverse of x is equal to x minus 8 to the fifth power plus 2. So we have found the inverse of the function f right there. All right, the second example is going to involve some fractions. So we want to get good at this, so let's handle this. Step number 1, replace f of x with y. So instead of writing f of x is negative 2 over x plus 7 minus 3, we're going to write y is negative 2 over x plus 7 minus 3. And step number 2 is to interchange x and y. So right here we get x is equal to negative 2 over y plus 7 minus 3. And step number 3 says to solve for y. So when I look at my y, it is in the denominator of this fraction. So I'm going to do the same thing sort of that I did in number 1. I'm going to isolate the term that has the y in it, and then I'll work on getting to the y. So to isolate the term that has the y in it, I'm going to add 3 to both sides. So I get x plus 3 is equal to negative 2 over y plus 7. Now, I'm going to approach this the same way I would any problem that has a denominator in it. I'm going to kill the denominator by multiplying both sides of the equation by the denominator. So that means on this side, bye babe, I'll see you soon. Okay, have fun. Sorry, my daughter was just leaving. Now I need to kill the denominator by multiplying both sides by y plus 7. And this side by y plus 7. Over here, y plus 7 divides into y plus 7 one time, so I get negative 2. Okay. On the left-hand side, I'm going to multiply this out. Y times x is x, y. Y times 3 is 3y. 7 times x is 7x. 7 times 3 is 21. And the reason I had to multiply that is because the y is trapped in this parentheses, and I got to be able to get to y by itself, so I need to free up these terms. So now what I need to do is get everything that's got a y in it, these two terms, on the left-hand side, and move everybody else to the right-hand side. So that looks like x times y plus 3 times y is equal to negative 7x minus 21 minus 2. I'm going to do two things in this next step. I'm going to collect these two terms together, which are like, and add them. This is going to be negative 7x minus 23. On the left-hand side, I would like 1y, not 2y, so I have to factor out a y, because x and 3 are not like, so we can't combine them. The best we could do here is to factor out a y and get x plus 3. Now I have y times x plus 3. To solve for y, I'm going to divide both sides by x plus 3. These will cancel. I'll have y is equal to, and you can write this, you can leave it like that. That's acceptable. Here's another way. You could factor out a negative. You could write it in the front. If you factor out a negative, that leaves you with a positive 7x plus 23 over x plus 3. And the last step is to rewrite f as y as f inverse of x. So again, this negative in the front indicates that it distributes. This is acceptable. Or you could distribute it, negative 7x minus 23 over x plus 3. But that is the inverse function for that, for the given f.